I wanted to bring you guys along with me for a day in my life as a professional full-time yapper, aka a science communicator. I'm going to share my favorite projects, what I do in a day, advice for people who also want to be professional nerds, and just some bits and pieces about my daily life. Hey, I'm Eva, and these are my notes on a day in my freelance SciComm life. Science communication is kind of a long phrase, so people generally just say SciComm. It's the practice of making science topics accessible to non-specialists. As you can imagine, there's various forms of this: outreach, public engagement, knowledge translation, and more. Sometimes the goal is educating the public, or influencing policy, or making science relatable and useful. We definitely all saw the value of it in 2020. There's over 3,000 new scientific articles published every single day, so science communicators help people cut through the information overload and get what's important for them. And there's lots of idioms. Like, you can write, obviously, but there's also photos, videos, social media. I love that SciComm lets me just nerd out about niche topics, scientific topics in a way that a lot of people can understand. And I really love the people in this sector because everyone's motivated by passion and super curiosity driven. Since I'm a freelancer, my schedule is super varied and very flexible, both of which I really love. And I love that one of the big goals of SciComm is to directly impact people's lives, whether that's helping them make better daily decisions or understand our origins or just appreciate the world more. One of my favorite projects of all time was hosting Hungry Planet for PBS. It was a food travel show with a science twist where we explored different locations to uncover the science behind food like chilies. I loved getting to meet so many different people who are all working on the same thing, whether that was community leaders or scientists or restaurant owners, all of whom are concerned with keeping our food safe, secure, and healthy. Also, I just really love the idea of bringing food and science together in this educational format because it's a thing that everyone does every single day, but it's very relatable. We visited the Chili Pepper Institute in New Mexico where we learned about the history and biology and the different heat levels of different hot peppers. And I really thought I could handle really high heat, but I was really humbled by my experience there. All right, time to head off to work. Honestly, the SciComm field is pretty competitive and there are lots of stable roles and awesome jobs, but also people tend to be really passionate about stuff, so they're willing to take less money, or they have lots and lots of degrees and experience, so this competition can definitely be challenging, but I do feel like it drives creativity and improvement among SciComm professionals. What I do is freelance SciComm, which is not a really traditional 9-to-5 job. It's kind of a mix of multiple roles and constant movement. And as a freelancer, I really enjoy working for a variety of clients and having a really varied schedule. But freelancing also means that I'm always applying in new gigs to keep things steady. I do have a consistent part-time position here at the Leakey Foundation where I work 2 days a week. This is a nonprofit organization that helps fund scientists who are researching human origins, primate behavior, human evolution, genetics, and way more. I also host videos for SciShow, which is a popular science YouTube channel, and I just finished up a project with a dental company helping explain the science of dentistry to their patients. Right now, I also have 4 pending applications for other gigs though, and I'm really hoping that at least one of them pulls through. Today, I'm filming content for the Leakey Foundation to share more about the research that our scientists grantees are doing. For example, I recently completed a video about a scientist studying how chimpanzees move through trees as opposed to open spaces. And all these kinds of videos help bridge the gap between the public and the research that the foundation funds. This is going to be time to film and just talking about things. I have pretty much always been a nerd. Prior to doing SciComm, I was actually a scientist for 7 years, so I got to have lots of hands-on research experience. And having worked in a science lab every single quarter through undergrad and full-time over the summers, and then also for 3 years in a PhD program before I left due to COVID and personal reasons, I do think this scientific background really helps me understand topics really deeply, which then makes it easier to explain. And now that I'm all done at the Leakey Foundation, it's time for me to work on my personal project, NotesByNiba. And here's the fit check as I almost fall over. I'm gonna go do some personal work over at the Ruby, which is this women and non-binary artist community that I'm a part of. it's really nice to work around people because otherwise it ends up being me and my cats in my house for days on end. So let's go. I really like to work here at the Ruby because then I get to see some friends and sip some tea. And today I'm going to be working on a video for my NotesByNiba YouTube channel. It's about my struggle with seasonal depression and kind of self-experimenting different treatments for it to try and fight it off. And I'm just so excited for it because it feels like a video I was able to be a lot more creative on and just have a lot more fun with, rather than kind of the standard cut and dry talking head videos that I was trained on. And getting to kind of make more, I don't know, filmy stuff has been really, really fun lately. Whether I'm working on SciComm content or content for my own channels, there's a couple things I try to keep in mind. First is trying to be as concise as possible, which is definitely one of the things I struggle with. And I also try to stay away from super niche, field-specific words, aka jargon. There's a tool called the de-jargonizer that I really like for this. I also try to make sure that the curiosity gap is really strong. The curiosity gap is the difference between what a person already knows and what they want to know. It kind of creates this teaser effect that keeps people watching and reading and just kind of looking at your stuff, but without giving everything away up front. And of course, knowing your audience is huge. I want to give enough context that people understand without overwhelming them with too much of an information dump. In SciComm, it's really great to specialize in a particular skill set or in a particular topic, environment, or working really hard on video production like me. But at the same time, I feel it's helpful to also be able to do a lot of things, because oftentimes roles will hire for oh, we want someone for marketing, but they also should do social media, but they also should do presentations, but they also should do fundraising, but they also should do newsletters. Just kind of this one role that's expected to do a lot of it. And that's quite common for marketing and communications roles. But at the same time, you just really want to have this balance between being able to understand a lot of stuff and also have the niche that you focus on. Today was a day where I was mostly out of the house, but on days where I'm working from home, I love having my walking pad underneath my desk to just get a little bit of movement throughout the day. In the evening, I like to unwind depending on what I did earlier that day. I'm pretty extroverted, but if I've had enough socialization, I like to be cooking or doing some paper crafts. But if I haven't had much socialization, I'll go to a dance class or a social event, just hang out with my friends. It's important to me to be exploring and creating art, so I have a creative traveler type mindset, and I'm not just going through the motions of life.
It's so cold. I'm almost out of this.
SciComm is a career fueled by passion and curiosity. Every day, I get to explore how science enriches our lives, in everything from choosing the right skincare to our understanding of where we come from, and helping researchers share their discoveries with the world. Every scientific insight has the potential to spark positive change, and I feel we need rational thought now more than ever. And I love getting to do that on this channel, whether that's by testing out probiotic effects or experimenting with morning routines. And I love sharing that for you and for me, and hopefully helping us make choices for real meaningful change that we want. Every career has its pros and cons, but when it comes to SciComm, the impact and passion makes it so worth it to me.